If you come in and can be upfront and honest and say, actually in this application, I think this product over here that I don't represent would be better for you. That all of a sudden now you become a trusted advisor rather than a salesman.
And I often say that we have all the requirements of space, right? Because it has to go underground and send us data from miles and miles away, and it has to work. Like, failure is not an option.
We'll put on, a standard mule shoe. Ours is slightly different just for that, but it's, everybody's got one.
The top drive and the drawworks really don't care whether the electrons coming at it are from a joystick or a PLC.
The panel, what you see here on the left, which is now controlled by one of my students, is showing you actually the control of our brakes.
As of now, geothermal is a pretty small market.
If you have tortuosity, the casing will be up against the side on part of the well. There won't be any cement there. The cement will have crescent around it.
So managed pressure drilling, it's been defined as a process to precisely control the pressure profile in the wellbore.
The key is being transparent with our clients in this case. So tell them what happened. If we had a failure, tell them exactly what happened. Whether it's our fault, whether it's whatever the issue was, we need to be transparent.
I think it's very important for everyone in the industry to know what's out there and kind of what's happening downhole as well.
I've probably worked on over 40 different performance limiters in my career. If I miss any of those and the computer is raising weight on bit and I miss any of those, I have a train wreck. The computer's going in the ocean.
Here's your new colors, here's your new thing. We won't do that at all.
Here's the tattoo you need to get.
Yeah, here's the tattoo. Sorry about the last one. We used to fake that all the time.
No audio. Okay, how about now? It's going to take 30 seconds for it to... But thank you. I totally forgot to press the button.
You're going to have to do sign language.
Yeah. I'm going to have to do all of that over again.
That's okay. Yeah.
Okay, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. Luckily, we're here at the... Is it going now? Hello, 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 hello. All right, there we go. All right. All right, y'all didn't hear all the cussing there at the beginning, so yes, great. All right, so let's do this one more time. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Vito Unlocks, the show where we're unlocking the secrets to success in the oil and gas industry. One interview, one technical presentation, and one technical screw-up at a time. We already got the technical screw-up out of the way, so maybe we'll have a second for all of the people out there watching. Do what you can. I do appreciate everybody tuning in to be able to watch the show, but please do like, share, subscribe. We are kicking the show back off, getting everything running again. If you guys are interested, or if you want to be able to make sure that you're getting notifications about the show, if you go over to my profile, there's a little there's the banner thing that says "Know Your Industry," and me probably wearing the same shirt, and I've got a beard. And there's a little button right below it that looks like a little bell. If you click that, then you'll get notifications that we're actually going live and stuff. So do that. Like I said a minute ago, we are broadcasting live here from the Erdos Miller podcast studio. And the last time we were here with David Ramsey Wood, the camera ran out of juice, and I'm rolling the dice again. And the second camera, because then we got two, this one's not hooked up to power, so this one should die at some point in time during the broadcast. I don't know if that's just out of like, we're just going to keep consistency and everything. But thank you all for being here and tuning in. I really do appreciate it. We've got absolutely amazing show, and now I actually remember Clinton. Thanks, so we're here with Clinton, absolutely amazing guest, Clinton Moss. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey man, thanks. I appreciate it. I really do. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and so guys, if y'all have any, I keep looking at the wrong camera. Boom, switch it back over. There we go. If y'all have any questions or anything that y'all want to be able to send over to us, I've got the laptop sitting here with me, so that we can get everything going. Restart to install latest Windows update. Probably not the best time for that right now. Right? So let's not do that. So yeah, thank you guys everybody for tuning in and watching. Please, guys, let us know where you're watching from. Really do appreciate that. And also, I want to be able to give a quick introduction. So we're going to do a new little portion of the show here. We've got some really cool information that's coming out from Corva, and we're going to show you guys a quick little introduction of some really unique ways that data is being used in our industry right now. And I don't have the button already queued up, but here we go.
Corva's cool.
One of the challenges the industry is facing today, especially with remote operations, remote MWDs, maybe one MWD or DDX on location, is really keeping track of your MWD tool health or your rotary steerable tool health, specifically with your shock and vibration. So a lot of times these may be available real time, but it's very difficult to reconcile these against your tool limits and know how much vibration you have left in that tool before you risk damaging it or possibly even killing the tool. So obviously killing a tool in the lateral can be basically a round trip for a day. So there needs to be a real big focus on basically integrating these limits with real-time vibrations to then feed into your drilling performance. So that way you can make better decisions and get to TD in one run.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much there, Corva, for that quick message. And that was your Corva Insight for this week. All right, guys. Wow. So much, like, my energy level's a little bit too high. I've got to, like, calm down.
Tranquilo. That's my brother says this is Clinton. Tranquilo.
Yeah, got to calm down just a little bit. All right. Yeah, so let's get into it. Man, thank you so much for being. We're not actually using these. We've got other mics, but, like, I feel like I need to, like.
Well, I'd like to, you know, I just know that I'm supposed to stay like a fist away from this thing or something like that, but we don't need it, right?
No.
Okay, we'll use it as a prop.
Yeah, these are definitely props for today.
There you go.
Other props here too.
No, that is
Is
cool.
that even in there?
Yeah, look, it was worth it coming for this, David. This is worth it coming for this. David was saying he's going to give these out to everyone who watches today. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so that would be 48 people as of right now. So yeah, all 48 people get one.
Get the printer going.
Yeah.
Right, fire it up. Overtime.
All right, so Clinton, give me for those who don't know who you are, right? Which there shouldn't be anybody in the industry who doesn't know who you are.
I'm sure there's tons of people.
Give us a quick introduction of like your background and who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so what do you want, like the 1 hour version or 1 minute version?
I mean, the battery's gonna die on that one, but that one can go and we can live stream for 4 hours.
Oh, okay.
So,
I got enough time, I think. You got a minute? You got a minute?
I'm not going anywhere.
All right, good. So where did I start? Yeah, I'm from Newfoundland, Canada, and I was going to school up there at the College of North Atlantic in St. John's, Newfoundland. And, you know, in Newfoundland at that time, there's very few positions or jobs for engineering technologists or engineers. So I'll never forget it, man. I was sitting in class and we heard that Halbert was going to come and recruit. And I got an interview and I went on my first work term. I went to Alberta as an MWD hand. And
everyone who starts out as an MWD hand is cool.
Right, MWD. So I go up there doing MWD, and I walk into the shaft, the second drill location I was ever on, and there was this dude in there named Sean St. Louis. You heard of him, right? Yeah, okay, so and he ended up being my business partner after, but it's kind of the intro. And so I walk in, he says, "Okay, look, you got 20 minutes to learn how to do this ranging because I'm going on my 12 hours off here." So click this button, move this, energize the electromagnet, and then if you mess it up, then everything's going to be a catastrophe. So don't do that. No, it was a little bit more to it than that, but it was trial by fire. Let's get going. And my other, he was now my friend Jeff. He's a directional hand. He said, Clinton, you're in for a rough night here. So anyways, we were ranging all night long, and I'm telling you, man, I thought, this is cool. This is the coolest stuff ever. And I was hooked on ranging right there. Second job I was ever on in my life. In the oil patch. Yeah. So at the end of that work term, my manager at that time, his name was Neil Atwood, good dude. And Neil said, hey, Clinton, when you graduate, called me into his office and he slid an offer letter across the desk. And man, I was, I didn't have any money or, said I had to go back to school, poor student stuff.
Yeah.
And, I was looking at the salary and all this and, what I would make. And, man, when I went back to school, it was study time because I wanted that. The day that I wrote my final exams, I got back on a plane and went back to Alberta and stayed there, working for Halliburton. So that was how I got into the oil patch. Wow. Yeah, it was neat. And then I just kind of ascended through the ranks at Halliburton doing all kinds of, you look at my LinkedIn profile, read my resume or whatever. But
yeah, if you guys haven't already, you'll find it on LinkedIn, send him a connection request, and then troll all of his posts.
Yeah, that's right. So, I did that for a little while, worked with Halliburton, and we did what happened there? Did a blowout in Kuwait is where it was. And while Well was on the job, and I was at the hotel and I was supposed to get into the car with the Well guys, and the guy opened up the door was Dan Eby, who is my current business partner. So we did that blowout. After the blowout, he called me and said, hey, you want to go for coffee? And I went and met him. He said, you want to work for Well? And I said, yes, sir. So then I went to Well, and I was running around the industry I run around the world doing relief wells for them, like a relief well expert, or whatever the title was there. And I got to thinking, there's not a lot of people out there doing ranging. There's only really one company. But what if there was another one? So I left Well and started my own company with Sean St. Louis and my other buddy Troy. Yeah. We had those tools. Those tools were acquired by Scientific Drilling in 2015, our active ranging tools.
That's the reason why Bob Godbolt's watching right now.
Right. And then I worked at Scientific till 2019, I believe, and I started my own company again, Gunnar Services, and here I am today. And what do? We do
what do you guys?
Well,
do?
So look, it's very simple.
I mean, obviously today you guys are doing nothing.
Yeah, that's right. The men are doing, and the team is. I'm not doing anything today. So what is Gunnar Energy's goal? It's very simple. To be the leader in relative wellbore positioning. Okay, so we have wellbore positioning where we're going to drill to a survey and place it, try to tighten those ellipsoids and do the best we can and all this kind of stuff. But that's integrating a well path from surface down to bottom. And I'm not as interested in that, although it's very important. But what I want to do is establish a relative proximity between 2 points in space. So for 2 wellbores subsurface, I want to know exactly how they are positioned relative to each other. So they're X far away at some bearing. Hence the kind of term ranging, right? Where that all came from. I'm kind of thinking of a gun range, or like an Olympic athlete on the range trying to hit a target. Well, this is kind of where that term came from. So that's what my focus is. That's what my passion is establishing this relative these relative measurements. Now, how do we do that? It's with magnetism. And what Gunnar's done is build a fleet of technology to allow us to do that. And then we also action that in the field. So it's not just it's not just making the instruments themselves, but deploying them and actioning the data. We'll go to the drill site for wells that need to be plugged and abandoned, wells that need to be intersected for some other reason, like a complex completion, let's say geothermal, okay, for example. Yeah. Or even an uncontrolled release. So we know what they're called. That's a blowout, right? So although the majority of my work these days is concentrated on the end of the life cycle of the well, actually. So plugging old, abandoned, leaking wells, with the tech.
So you guys are having to intercept the old ones?
Yeah.
Instead, why not just do it from surface?
Yeah, so that's interesting, right? So, for example, I live in.
So this is the plug and abandonment portion of the conversation. Let's.
We're gonna take a drink. Get into this one.
All right. We're gonna take a quick water break.
Correct. So, Yeah, conventionally, you typically get a rig over a well. You go in and pull the rods out, whatever's in there, go at the bottom to the interval that was most productive. And if you need to perforate it, shoot it again, and scoop cement it through there to achieve zonal isolation, so be it, fine, right? What happens if, let's see the easiest one there, going in the hole to do that, and the drill pipe parks for whatever reason. Now you got fish in the hole. So, okay, what do? You got fish close to surface, and your productive zone is down below, it's open, and you can't get past the fish. You can't mill it up. Let's say the fish spins, or this kind of stuff happens. So you can't mill it up. So then what are you going to do? Well, you cannot affect a cement plug where it needs to be because there's an obstruction, okay? So what we do there is we cut out, we whip off, and get away from the well, and then we come back in, intersect, re-enter, and now we can pump cement through and place it where it needs to be. So it's a relief well style intervention. That's what it is. Yeah. So typically we use the mother bore just to save the wellhead, right? Instead of having to do wellhead.
I've never even heard that term before, the mother bore.
Yeah. So we go into we use the existing infrastructure, go down to the top of the obstruction, right? Set a bridge plug there, maybe cement, whip, stock, mill out of it, come around, and then get up against the target, mill into the target. So eccentric reentry, mill, and then physically trip the drill string back inside. So imagine you come off, around, back in. Yeah.
Right. It's easy.
Yeah, it's nothing to this. It's easy.
Very straightforward.
Yeah, and you can suffer these obstructions at 100 feet, and you've gone around them, or intercepted at 150, or you can suffer these obstructions at 8,000 feet, and we just did that as well. So it's really, because it's relative. It doesn't matter to me what the depth is anymore. There are some drilling considerations, of course, like getting weight to the bit at depth and these things that we all know. But generally, the techniques are the same. So it is, because the measurement is relative. I don't care if it's 100 miles away or right in front of my face. If the two well bores are physically separated by 5 feet, and the other one it's due north from that bottom position, I'm going from there. I'm basing my trajectory changes on those data.
Awesome. Now, do you so when you go through that, or you create that new well bore, right, off of the motherboard, do y'all have to end up casing that?
Yeah, sometimes you do. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you don't. There's some technical reasons why you need to do both, but we try to avoid running another string of casing. Now, why do we avoid that? Well, it's the cost and all this kind of stuff, and the time, etc. But that presents another magnetic perturbation. So if I got one casing, I'm trying to magnetically range to it. If I go put another one adjacent to it, and I've just created a nightmare. I have two signals, right? Yeah. So the way that the ranging technology works is generally...
I say that like I know what's going on.
The way the ranging technology works is that generally, it is agnostic to which piece of steel is present. It will, you'll get signal from all this, right? So if we inject, if we excite the target, there's methods to do that, which we can talk about. But if we inject and excite on the target, we'll have confounding signals from both pieces of pipe. Or if we're just looking for residual magnetism, there could be confounding signals from both pieces of pipe. So that's why we avoid it, if we can.
And so for doing something like that, you can just, as far as picking up that signal, you're using essentially a standard MWD tool.
I wouldn't say that. It's
okay. Getting into the secret sauce of
no, it's no secret. So you can do it with passive. Okay, so there's two different kinds of magnetic ranging, I'll call it. And it's passive magnetic ranging, where you're looking for the residual magnetism of the drill pipe. And look, all MWD hands and directional drillers are familiar with that, right? So you're drilling out.
Let's not make too big of assumptions.
Okay, well, let's say this. Okay, MWD guys and directional hands. When you're drilling out your intermediate casing point, let's say, you don't take the first survey when the MWD is, just exited the chute, okay? Because it's hot, right? Well, that's my world is hot. Like I'm looking for that interference. So hot. To make, I walked right into that, didn't I? Right. So I'm looking for the interference, on purpose, and I'm making sense of that interference, okay, to establish this ranging vector. So that's residual magnet. That's the residual technique, and you can use typically any industry standard MWD to do that for sure. But there's something very different that happens when we want to do active magnetic ranging. Okay, so why would we need to do that? Well, sometimes the residual magnetism of these pipes are not so good. Let me give you an example. I was just ranging downtown Los Angeles, and it was a project where we were going to intercept a well because they were going to build some type of community housing, like a high density housing for downtown LA to address some of the problems, which I'm sure I don't need to introduce here. We all know.
Yeah.
So
wrong podcast.
Yeah, right. So, but what are we doing? They were trying to clean up this old well site, plug the well properly so that this facility can be built. Okay, but that well was drilled in 47. Okay, 1947. And so the casing is 80 odd years old, whatever it is. Don't quote me on the map. Probably got it wrong. Anyways, it's old. It's old. And there's some theories about what happens to a piece of steel if you just leave it in the earth, and what's going to happen to any magnetism that exists. Well, certainly still ferromagnetic piece of steel, but it can corrode. But more likely than that is that the magnetic field from the pipe starts to align over time with the Earth's field. That's another theory on it. Okay, so here's another cool one for MWD hands, right? Like if you've got pipe that you lay out in a yard north-south, the Earth's field can make that hotter than if you laid it east-west. That's been observed. I believe it's been observed. Yeah. Because the Earth's magnetic field is cutting through the room and through us right now, and it's bombarding any piece of steel that there is, wherever it lay, be it above or below the surface of the Earth, right? So if the magnetic field aligns with the Earth's field, or is otherwise not present, I can't see it. There's nothing to see. There's no hotness. There's no interference to detect.
Yeah.
So what do I do then? Well, now we're doing AC/DC trick on that thing. So what we do is use a wireline tool, an active ranging tool. Now, what's that? What's that active mean? Well, we're going to activate something to generate the signal. What that is a big power supply. So it's a 3-part system that goes in the hole. It injects current into the formation. Okay? Send it down the wire line, ejects into formation, and the current is just an easy way to think about it. The electron is lazy. It's looking for the path of least resistance to get back to the surface. It's not quite like this, but it's a good way to think about it.
Yep.
It gets on the pipe and travels on the pipe, and now we have this beautiful phenomenon. Ampere's law states that if you have current that flows on any conductor, it doesn't matter if it's a wire, doesn't matter if it's a drill pipe, okay, it will have associated with it a magnetic field. And it's that magnetic field that we sample with the sensor that's downhole. Now, you said, the genesis of this whole kind of branch that we've gone on here is you said it's just like MWD, right? Well, not okay, and it is. It's a probe with magnetometers, accelerometers, and gyroscopes, yeah, for sure. But the sensitivity here is another level. What do you fail a survey? It was just on your.
Oh, the qualifier.
Yeah. Like you fail a survey, it's like 350 nanotesla hot or something like that. Right?
Yeah,
Something
I
like
wasn't
that.
paying. I didn't take good enough notes.
Okay, so when I'm down there intersecting these wells, the signal from my active tool could be like 10 nanotesla. 10. And we can sniff around and determine a distance and direction, or certainly a distance to target with 0.1 nanotesla, decimal one. So it's it's very, you're really looking for the signal and the noise, but we have a little advantage here. This is not a DC. It's not a direct current system or a static field. It's an AC field, an alternating magnetic field, because we inject AC current into the formation. So now I have this signal that oscillates, and we can open up our signal analysis toolbox with all these great mathematical tricks that you have, like Fourier analysis and complex demodulation and all this. I'm just regurgitating what this tells me now.
Yeah.
So
I know smart words.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I did a bit of it in school, but let's face it, I didn't write the code for this or anything. Okay, so now we can detect the faintest of signals. And here's an easy way to describe this, right? And this is taken directly out of the mind of Arthur Laporta, the Gunnar physicist, and a beautiful mind at that. It's the example of a crowded subway. Imagine you're on a subway and there's 20, and I'm going to say guys on purpose, 20 guys on the subway, and they're all talking, and they're all the average age, and they have this, deep voice or whatever. And if someone were to come onto the subway and just ring a bell, bing, the slightest, everyone could whip their head and say, oh, it's from that way, because the frequency is different, right? The tone is different. So that's what we're doing here. We're introducing a signal that has a known frequency, and then we're just concentrating on that, getting rid of the noise, and making sense of those minuscule amplitudes.
Art sounds like a smart guy.
Art is, you throw around these words about how smart people are, but I'll just say that he's inspiring. He is, he's really, and I've worked with a lot of physicists. They're all great. Work with guys, if you can. Hang around with these people smarter than yourself. It's illuminating. It's a beautiful experience.
That's the whole reason why I do this show.
I can see how that'd be great. Have all these people.
Somebody's going to message me on LinkedIn and be like, "Hey, David, could you help us out with our magnetic ranging project?" And we'll be like, "You realize I just interviewed the person. I didn't.
That's right.
I didn't get to download every day.
I'll take the chip out.
Yeah.
There we go.
If that was the case, definitely an app I would download. Okay. Before I forget, now we've had a couple of comments here and a couple of questions have come in. Okay. No sound. Oh, I need to scroll back down here. Okay, just gonna say there were sponsorship opportunities there with the water break. Thanks, Ray. All right. So Kale asks, have you ever re-entered in the lateral portion of the well?
Did I do that? Yeah, of course. Yeah, for sure. I have. Yep, absolutely. So it was not since I've been out on my own again, which is 2 years, but with tools that I made. Literally physically handmade these particular tools while I was at SDI. We intercepted 2 wells head to head. So actually,
that sounds like a geothermal project.
No comment, but I'll just say that we intercepted 2 wells using technology. So yeah, you can re-enter a lateral, but there is an order of complexity to that because you have to deploy tools. How do you get them to the bottom? And that ranging tool I just told you about, for example. That's a wireline tool. So imagine now I need to get that at the bottom. There's tractors involved, pumping down, all this kind of stuff. So there's more complexity, but it indeed, it can be done. I've done it, yeah.
What about as far as just like maybe just going around fish?
Going around them? I'm not sure if I have, but the industry's done it. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. You guys missed all the good jokes there. They're saying we need a DD on location to be able to get these 2 MWD hands
under control.
Yeah, under control. Beanor's likes with his hiatus for retooling. David pressed the wrong button. Where's the feed? Yeah, this is what I try to do too much. All right. So I think we answered Kale's question.
I think so. It can be done. Laterals, yes, you can re-enter.
Yeah, I'm gonna act like I'm just gonna ignore the fact that we just screwed all that up. So Armin's got a question. We'll jump back in here to Armin. Armin's got a question. He says, "What is the accuracy?"
Yeah. So the accuracy is a function of, it's just like any measurement. There's going to be some errors here, right? And
so many people dropped off.
To quantify accuracy, it would depend on the geometry, like what is the relative geometry between the source and the receiver, the two wellbores. It will have to do, sometimes there's environmental effects, but people don't want to, hear all that hand waving and excuses. But something like this, okay? The range on these systems is something like 150 feet. So you can see 150 feet away, identify the well. And in terms of total distance, a directional target. Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah. So in total, the accuracy in direction to target is like plus or minus 5 degrees, something like that. First, when you establish protection, and the range or the distance that you are away is there's a nuanced answer because it depends on how I'm determining my distance. There's such thing as gradiometry. There's a way to do it through triangulation and signal intensity. So these methods yield different accuracies. But when you're up against the well, so within 10 feet, let's say, and you can get a gradient signal is what we call it, then your accuracy is like, 5-10% of the total distance. So you got to think about it in percentages. So 150 feet away, it might be plus or minus 20 feet right there, right? But it's this whole idea of homing in to the target where, you take a measurement, creep up on it, take another measurement, you drill a little more. To be clear, it's a good word, frustrating process. Yeah, it can be. You have to drill, withdraw the drill string, go in, rig up wire line, go in the hole with wire line, withdraw, go back in, drill. So it's a Trip Fest 2022 doing this kind of stuff. In and out.
A lot of pizza.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of opportunity for MWD hands to put the movies on, right? So, unfortunately, we are very busy during those times. No movies.
But that's a lot of BHA paperwork.
Oh, it's crazy. I think it's not uncommon to get 20 BHAs in and out of the hole to accomplish one of these. Cool. Yeah, and you could trip on a big project, literally be tripping for weeks. Add up the time MPT, and you'll have it's a 20-hour round or something like that, no, 10-hour round. Add that up, and you're literally taking weeks tripping pipe. Yeah, and if you want to ask me a little bit later about what needs to be done about that, I'll be happy to tell you. But that it's inefficient in that way, but it is necessary if we have a very challenging world.
The best part of the Vigor Locksmith show is after the cameras go off and the conversations we have after.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
If anybody ever wants to start your own podcast, do know that this is the easiest part of it, is actually talking. The hardest part is getting everything set up, not only technical of this, but all of the afterward stuff is where things really start to pay off. All right. Bob Bolt says passive is way better.
That's an old joke there, old Bobby.
Okay. Oh, Bobby. Good one. So LinkedIn user who we now know is John DeWart, so he can't be anonymous anymore. Says, what ranges can you achieve with active system? I know you just said 150, but is that active?
Yeah, no, I think John is. I know John. Hi, John. I think John is referring to the active access independent, like the relief well method tools. Yeah, 100, 150 feet. And why do I just so nonchalantly change from 150 to 100? It depends, guys, on the formation resistance, the type of mud used, the configuration, the geometry, the angle of attack, blah blah blah. I can name it all off, right? So it's hard.
There's no hard fast rule of thumb in our industry.
No, not with this stuff. Right? So if you can imagine,
RSS is the best.
Remember, I said, we want electrons are going to have some interaction with the formation. Okay, so imagine they travel out through the formation and then collect on the target. We call it. What is the medium through which they travel? It's oil and gas and salt and whatever's there. I mean, I don't know exactly, but certainly on their journey they're going to be impeded, right, with various formations, or perhaps helped along. Maybe sees a string of water going through there. It's highly conductive. So all these things can exasperate the operator. And when you expect a certain signal, it's not present. So in old targets and targets that are broken, so that's another weakness of all these similar systems, is that we explain magnetic field being on this continuous long conductor, the pipe acting like a conductor. What if the pipe is parted in various, like they section milled it, or there was an earthquake and it sheared, whatever the case may be. We see all that. And then, the end of the pipe has no signal at all from the active ranging perspective. So, John said, what is the range of the tool? I could say, if I'm at the end of pipe, the range is 0, for example, right? So, it's an expert user system. It is highly nuanced. It is complex, but it is very accurate, and it does the job in the right hands. It can yield amazing results.
So I've got a question for you then. Obviously, getting within that first 150 feet is going to be important.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get to that point? And have you ever run into a situation where, let's say that the surveys that we're taking on the well before, not just stuff that's from 80 years ago, but stuff that may have been drilled kind of recently.
All the time.
And MWD hands didn't put in the right
DAC error,
yeah,
you catch it all. Yeah.
And you guys start drilling somewhere, and you're like,
not there. Yeah. So thinking about it, I'll tell you who told me this. Ron Pitzer, another cool guy, Vector. But he said, think about it like this. It's like, going down in your basement looking for a book, and you kind of light your lighter, and you're in the dark because the light is burnt out. You're looking around in the dark for stuff, right? If you have no survey, where do you aim? It's a needle in the haystack. So look, the very first job that I did with these tools, I started development at Gunnar of these tools in May of 2020. It was a great time in the marketplace, wasn't it?
Yeah,
phenomenal. People are saying,
Vidor Locksmith show was blowing up at that point.
So I had started in May 2020, and it was 9 months later I put those tools in the hole for the first time. And I picked a great job. It was a well drilled 30 years ago. There were no surveys on it. There was no surface location. It was cut below surface. Nothing, not a thing. Literally needle in a haystack. So what do? Drill vertical hole, put the tool down there, look in the dark. Can I see it? I said, okay, it's over there. Kick off, go towards it. And it's seek and destroy. Then you sneak up on it a little bit, take a survey, drill a little bit more, take a survey, and then we create what we call a reverse or synthetic survey. So how is that done? Well, imagine if I have two,
synthetic surveys are done all the time. I mean, just
it's like this, right? Fat fingered in there.
Yeah, they'd probably be done. I think those are just different synthetic surveys.
Let's talk about something that is mathematically rigorous and defensible. So my version of synthetic survey is this. Imagine you have two wells. I'm drilling a well, and I have this assumed target out here. And I range to it, and it says target is to the north, it's 3 feet away. And then I drill, you can't drill dead vertical, but let's just imagine I spin it down vertical, and I take another survey that says target is still true north, but now it's 4 feet away. Okay, well, if I maintain vertical and it kicked away from me, it has an azimuth to the north, okay, and I can back calculate what the ink is. And now I have a survey, and they say, let's look at all the wells in the area. I don't have survey on this well, but let's look at every single well and say, look at this. Wells drilled in rotary trend to the north, and they trend to the north with like a 3 effective dog, right? Yeah. So then we project that out and say, okay, well, let's aim for a 3 effective dog, assuming the target had that, and we'll drill down another 100 feet. We'll repeat the process, update the survey. It's tedious, but it works. Yeah, and that's how we did that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Let me jump through here. Okay, this is where everybody told us that where's the feed. I think David pressed the wrong button. Oops, wrong button.
I'm sorry about the crazy water, guys.
Oops, second technical.
The Houston allergies got me.
No sound. Must be those Windows updates. Hey, at least somebody didn't. Thank you. Sergey didn't blame it directly on me. Jordan says battery disposal fee, and then Bob says sound is back. So Bob's still tuning in. All right, guys. Now that we've got this running, everything's working there. If you guys got any questions, feel free to throw them out. We'll be sure to get them on here. What else were we going to talk about?
Well, I can tell you this.
No. Yeah.
I can tell you this. So here's another.
It's your show. It's your show today.
Oh, is it really? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I'll take over. Let me get comfortable here. So, no, look. The other thing I think is very important for me to say about Gunnar and any company I've been a part of on my own is the contacts that you need and that you make and you call on. So, like, what I like to say is my phone is like the best kind of MWD nerd Rolodex that there is. This kind of weird space that we're in, the relative positioning, ICWSA space, like that. So I know who to call. Now, if you got a nightmare on your hands with no surveys, or surveys are lost, or they're improperly applied, or whatever the case may be, there's a team called Path Patrol, okay, out of Paris, France. Yes. And yeah, you know these guys? Yeah. And these guys will do a forensic audit on this stuff. That's the best way to describe it, okay? And they'll go through that and drill down through it and produce or generate, synthesize the best data that they can, representative of the challenge that we're facing, right? So, man, I've been working with those guys for literally. I showed up in Nigeria, on a platform 12 years ago. They were there, and I've been working with them ever since on various projects. So, if you're really in a jam and stuff like that, there are experts that do it. There are experts that do that kind of stuff. Yeah, for whole business, not the whole business, but a major concentration.
I need to get one of those guys on the show.
Oh yeah, they're great dudes. Yeah, smart as razors. Sure.
Just stay in the lane, MWD and directional drilling stuff, and
yeah,
hopefully there's somebody out there actually learning something by watching it.
You learn this. Take that name down.
Yeah,
it's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll probably give them a plug later this week. All right. I think John says in the 70s we saw huge magnetic fields in tubing of high very rate gas wells.
Gas wells.
Tubing picked wrenches off the drill floor when doing workovers. We measured high field gradients inside the tubing, but never had the opportunity to measure monopole in situ. Have you seen circumstances where very high fields occurred in the target wells that can indicate casing tubing magnetizing mechanisms?
So is that from DeWart?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, John, I heard the same thing. And I'll tell you, he was telling me about it too, Stockhausen. So that's another good name in the industry, right? Ed Stockhausen. And
he's been on the show before, as well as John DeWart's been on the show.
Yeah,
before,
I believe Ed mentioned that before, but no, John, I hear where you're coming from. I have not seen it, but there was some talk of if it's some sand in the dry gas, some static action or something going on there. I don't understand the physics of it, and I have not seen it, but I'm on the lookout for it. Absolutely. I tell you what I have seen, which was what I intimated there earlier about very old pipe. So very old pipe that is competent. Okay, it's not rusted away. It's competent. It has no magnetic fields, no residual magnetism. Okay, so like I said about that blending, my theory is it blends to the Earth's field. But yeah, we've got up against the pipe, literally milling on it, and the MWD or the MWD style survey passes. So you are right against it, kissing it, and the MWD survey passes. How can it be? There's no magnetism there, or it's in such a way that we cannot differentiate it from the Earth's field. Yeah. So some crazy stuff goes on downhole. Now, and it's important to note, one of the theories is that the pipe kind of disintegrates. It's all eaten up, rotting away down there. Not this one, because we're milling on it with mills and putting 20,000 pounds on the bit trying to get through it, right? So it was competent enough, for sure.
Going through a paper bag or essentially steel casing, you can tell the difference with the weight.
And the other thing that we do is, we know the angle at which we're striking the target. Okay, so it's typically like a 3-degree relative angle of attack. That's all. Let's get that straight here. Now imagine we want to intersect, and we don't want 5 degrees. We don't want 2. We want 3. Okay.
So please explain why here, because I thought you were going to say 90 and 72, but
look,
5 and 2.
We're gonna get the coffee cups out here. Now look.
Okay.
So we're gonna come down and mill into this target well, right? Okay. We're gonna cut a hole into this target well, and if I'm very aggressive, I'll cut right through that thing, and if I'm very shallow, I will just scrape down along by it. And there's more to it than that. We need to engage we need to engage on the target and cut the proper aperture in here so we can get something back inside. It's not enough just to cut a hole in this. Okay, we think this well's leaking. It's an old well. We want to abandon it permanently. So we want to get the drill string back inside so we know that when we pump cement, it's on the ID of the well, not the OD. Okay, so if you have a very aggressive angle of attack, I have just a little window, a little aperture. But if I have a longer angle of attack, I open up this aperture. So it's a higher chance that I can get a stinger, a bent joint through that window, we call it, and trip back to bottom.
Lower tortuosity.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I mean, we cram stuff through there like effective 50-degree dog legs, to get it through. But you got to do Western sometimes, do what it takes. But yeah, it's you
mash on it.
Yeah, but you don't want that to be your default position. You try to come into it with some finesse, cut a nice window, re-enter. A different well in Los Angeles that we were plugging. We caught a window at it was a Miocene project. Shout out to those guys, are good dudes. It was a Miocene project over there on the West Coast, and we had to re-enter. And it was for a development. Once again, building a house there.
Yeah.
And we cut the hole at 200 feet and tripped drill pipe to bottom to 2,500 feet through that aperture. And that is what is required to properly clean up the well, cement it back to surface.
Well, won't get too deep into that. All right, we've got a couple of questions. So
Sure.
Somebody did say here, Path Control from France taking that name down. Thanks, guys. So appreciate it. So we're helping the industry and them building their own personal Rolodex.
I can't stress that enough, man. That is key. God, look, the young MWD people, not just MWD, anyone in the industry.
Or old MWD hands,
yes, whatever. It's, you make these relationships with people, right? And in the oil patch, if people energy industry is not just the oil patch now, is it?
Yeah.
But the energy industry, there seems to be this camaraderie and brotherhood that's there, and sisterhood that's there. And, even people that I compete with now, there's guys that I'll call and say, hey, man, I'm in a jam. What do you think of this? And they'll help me. They will. And there is a common respect there that I find. So, make good relationships with people, honor those relationships, be reciprocal, and it will serve you well. So, the people that I've met and worked with that are competent, quality people, I've stayed in touch with all my career. And I've got them on speed dial now for the next time that I'm in a jam.
I'm not one of those competent quality people, so.
No, you're on my speed dial. I guarantee you.
So Jerry asked, what differentiates your service from your competition? So I don't know how much you paid Jerry for this, but essentially he just lobbed you a softball there.
Differentiates me from my competition. Yeah. So I'm a strong personality and very passionate about this stuff. And if I go too far down that road, it's going to be, it's not as positive I want to be. So let me give it to you this way. It's a smaller shop, first of all, Gunnar, and that's all we do. Okay, that is it. So it's not, I'm not interested in making, let's say, some super duper resistivity tool for formation evaluation, although that is really neat. Okay, it's cool technology. It's just not what we do. We are focused, like I said, on relative wellbore placement. We want to be the leaders in relative wellbore placement, and not just operationally, but in technology. So I want to push step change technology into the industry. What I see in the relief well plug and abandonment space is, I think, it's stagnant. The exact same techniques, they've evolved slightly, but they've been used essentially for 30 years, okay? That's this idea of going in the wellbore, out the wellbore with the wireline tool. So I'm looking for ways to optimize that, obviously. And I'm singularly focused on doing it, and I will do it because it must be done. In order for us to properly address the complete life cycle of the well, okay? Or any wellbore, I'm not just saying any earthen wellbore, for whatever reasons put down there, civil or geothermal or oil and gas, whatever it is. We need to be able to control have integrity of the wellhead and control and expression of whatever it is you're after. Steam, oil, I don't care what it is. Okay, and if the well has been damaged, you need to repair it, get it back online. Okay, so you can use ranging for that. And perhaps more importantly, what I'm the most passionate about, because the majority of my work is plugging the old wells. And we cannot leave a legacy of waste and ruin and these old kind of industrial contaminated sites, this kind of stuff. It's not reasonable. It is not. Especially if you go in downtown LA, you literally see these well bores. I was on a well down there, working on the well, and I just looked at the building adjacent, and I could see, oh, look, that shampoo is the same that my wife uses in the window. I mean, is this reasonable? That's the drill rig tripping pipe. The well could be leaking. Come on, no, right? So there, and in LA, there are thousands of wells like that. Now, I described you a process where you got to, it takes months of doing this kind of stuff, right? If we're going to clean up thousands and thousands of wells, if we have to realize efficiency, okay? And I'm going to attempt to address that with technology. So building new tools, new ways of addressing the problem to speed it up like order of magnitude. So I want to go from, if it's X days, it's 0.1X by the time that I'm finished with it.
Wow.
Yeah, and it can be done.
So send us your money now to be able to invest now with Gunnar Energy Services. Yeah. All of it will be passed through Gibson Reports or some associated company. So it's just like milling window and casing to sidetrack into benefit of whipstock. That was one of the comments there. So this is from Manuel. Have you get through the open window other retrieving milling BHAs to remove potential completion components to
Absolutely.
P&A the well?
Yep. So we'll use that window. Like, let me see. Let me give you a good example. So we cut one
Questions
window.
are just piling in.
Yeah,
now.
sure.
Let's go, guys. Come on.
It's just weird. It's just weird. It's weird little things, isn't it? Right?
Yeah. I mean, we've only been going for about 50 minutes now. So
Keep them. Look, you think you can wear me out with questions? Not going to happen. keep sending them in. So what was that one? It was. You work through the window. Absolutely.
All right. Have you get through the open window other retrieving milling BHAs to remove potential completions components to P&A the well?
Yeah. So well that we did there, LA again. Just these are fresh in my memory because what I'm working on. But LA well again. They tripped through that window because we were released. We cut, get to the well, and then just turn it back over. Now it's
bye.
Yeah. Well, it's conventional operations. Right? Yeah. If you have a nice window, you can work through it. And I believe it was like 22 trips through the window with mills and fishing tools and bits and whatever. This is cool, man. This one's cool. That particular well was 100 years old that I speak of. And it was plugged, man, it's a testament to the industry. We open up the records from 100 years ago. Handwritten records say pine pole. No, it was pine. No, cedar, I think. Cedar pole placed at 2,300 feet, I think it was. So I go to my Dan Evie, who's my partner in Gunnar, okay? And he's not old, but he's a few years older than me, been around longer, heard more stories, right? Kind of like one of these oldie stuff blog type guys, right?
Yeah. Mike Shulman.
Yeah, knows all the stories, right? And he said, yeah, so they used to abandon wells, just take a pole, like a tree, and just drop it in the wellbore. That was the way to do it. And they thought, and I guess maybe that was. And then they would take what they call steel wool and just pound it on top of this pole, and that was the plug. Okay. So, anyways, we tripped through the window.
Giving somebody an idea right now.
Yeah, right. So we tripped through the window and go tag up that plug and around this pole, like they're talking about, start milling it up. And man, you can smell it, cedar coming over the shakers. Pick it up in your hands. They show you pictures of it. It's amazing. Yeah. So, they placed that there 100 years ago. It's just like opening up a time capsule, right? Wow. They placed it there 100 years ago. And, we get down there, tag it up plus or minus a foot where this guy said back in the day. And sure enough, you're getting like samples coming over the shakers that are, trees.
Wow.
Yeah, that's neat.
Just the accuracy of the measurement.
Right.
the depth measurement. I mean,
So
Harold Bull would be happy with that work.
Going back to the question, yeah, you can work through it. Yeah, you can work through it with tools, but you have to be very precise in the way you put the window in place. Because you can catch lips on windows, just the same as coming off of a side track. Think about getting back in. You can catch the lip and curl it over and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so yeah, we've got a ton of questions coming in here. So this one's from Ezra North. Are you ever going to make the big move from Santa Monica to Melbourne?
Easy.
There I am thinking that we've got good technical questions coming in, but I mean, obviously we're
because just taking the piss out of me.
Yeah. That's really important. Okay, what percentage of your proximity ranging jobs have you found the original surveys to be erroneous?
Yeah, so it's not erroneous. Well, no, look, they can be an error, but to what degree? To what degree? Let me go 100 years ago and then 5 years ago. Okay. So 100 years ago,
I was not in the field.
Yeah, me either. I've got up against the Target Well survey, and it was no, it's not 100. There were no surveys. 60 years ago. Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm exaggerating. 60 years ago, we started off with single shot surveys, camera film, and all this kind of stuff. And man, yeah, we've located wells with those surveys, and they're more or less where they're going to be with the appropriate model applied for uncertainty, right? And we've got up against it, and it's very useful. And you certainly see the trend, so it's easier to chase and intercept the well. I've got up against a target with modern surveys, and there was no SAG taken into account. And you expect it to be 20 feet away, and it's way further away because there's no SAG in there. And they had a BHA that wasn't locked up like back in the day, so that thing was real bendy, and we all know what happens then. So have I found surveys being error? Absolutely. Yeah. There can be difficulties, but don't necessarily blame the old ones. A lot of it is operator. MWD hands. 100 years from now is going to be someone coming to intercept your wells. Don't doghouse the surveys. Make sure they are correct. Yeah, I can't imagine. Can you imagine this guy 100 years ago writing down about log pole? I put the pole. Did he ever think in a million years someone would revisit that well? Amazing.
Probably not.
Yeah. And like I said,
and if there's a DD over there, hey, not 20, 30, make it like 25 or something.
Right. Yeah, but it's a great question, and it's great question. Is very interesting. It spawns all this conversation because man, it's wild, right? 100-year-old wells. Come on.
Yeah. All right. So this is coming here from Mark. Wellbore surveying is an older art than we think. Favorite old quote: "The history of our subject has not always escaped the stigma of charlatanry, and perhaps it has often deserved it." H.M. Haddock, deep borehole survey, 1931. Wow.
Was he basically calling people charlatans or what? I'm not
Yeah.
sure, yeah. That's good one,
I'm not good with.
What's Johnny
reading stuff
Norcott
live.
saying? Look, I see him there. Let's see what he gets.
Oh yeah. Johnny says, let me know if you want some code developing that geometrically gives the highest probability of intersecting target well. Johnny's been doing, I always say this, give good plug, Johnny. If you guys are interested in any of the stuff that he's putting out a lot of like really cool Python code and doing some videos and stuff.
So a guy just came and joined with us. His name is Georgie Raskin. He used to be an SDI guy. And Georgie and Johnny are going back and forth talking about this stuff all the time. Yeah, so we're on it. So Johnny, you probably just didn't make the connection. Yeah, but work with Georgie on that if you don't mind. Now, the other thing I'll say, look, speaking of the old Rolodex, right? Yes, you didn't need an automated way of doing this, of putting a long best fit or whatever you're going to do through your ranging calls. And I was like, who am I going to get? Who's good at that, doing that? I know this guy named Angus Jameson. So Angus helped me out with an algorithm to determine that. Angus and Andy and all those guys at H&P. Thank you, Angus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey,
and thank you, Johnny. Get in touch with Georgie.
Yeah, and Angus, he's been on the show before as well. So, okay, we've got somebody.
Oh, I'm good.
I thought you were pointing at her. So, never mind. We do have a live stream. I really want to press the button for the other camera, but then last time I did that, it screwed everything up. Enhanced geothermal systems, EGS, require a tool to range in hot environments. What is the temperature limitation of your tools, and do you have plans to increase this for deep geothermal? John DeWart.
John, yeah. Temp currently of my tool, 150 by the Q3 175. And do I have plans to go hotter? Yes, because I have plans to serve the geothermal market. Yeah, with bespoke technology that once again will realize a 10x time savings.
Wow.
Yep. Now, okay, look. So everyone's saying, how is that? How are you going to do that? How are you going to? I don't. Can't understand it. How can you do that? Well, we got to get rid of this wire. You can't have these. As soon as you're messing around with wire line, having a wireline measurement is very important. You can, it's unlimited bandwidth. It's virtually. You get the tool on bottom, you get this on bottom measurement, but it's the time of yo-yoing pipe, right? Round tripping pipe. It's got to go. It's got to go. And if you could do it LWD, right, or while you're drilling, this would be a lot better than having to trip out of the hole. Now, it's not so easy because you're talking about injecting currents, making sure that current collects on the target well. Put enough power downhole. How are you going to get that power downhole? How are you going to do all those things? Well, I've come up with a number of ways, but they all involve permanently getting rid of the wire that's required with the wire line.
Cut the cord.
You cut the cord. It's like remember the Big Lebowski when he has that weird dream and the nihilist is chasing after him with the scissors? That's me. I'm gonna cut that wire line. It's going. It's gone. And that is how we're going to plug these wells 10x.
Yeah, completions guys are like cringing right now with like wire line being cut.
That's right. Yeah, it's got to go. Got to go.
Okay, so talk to me a little bit about some of your thoughts on we talked about before the show we were talking about like energy transition, some of the geothermal stuff, and then we haven't even talked about entrepreneurship or bagpipes and.
So you're gonna have to be a part two.
I still never even realized what the whole bagpipe thing was about.
So I did a podcast with Miller, and it came up that
I would press the button, but then this says Erdos Miller right here, you guys.
I did a podcast with Miller, and it came up that I played bagpipe. That was my first. Okay, look, I'll do a bagpipe entrepreneurship combo. So what was the first?
We're gonna finish this interview up real good. We'll just pack everything into the last couple minutes.
Cram it in there.
Yeah.
So what was I going to do? So when I was 14, I went to visit my brother. He was working in Prince Edward Island, Canada. And I went to visit him, and I had my bagpipes because I was practicing bagpipes. And
it's just typical thing.
No, I went to a school there to better my skills, the College of Pipes and Drums in Prince Edward Island. Okay, so playing bagpipes. I'm a young little kid, right? And I go back to my brother's house, and I was like, I should go back to Newfoundland because I don't have a job. And he said, I can get you a job, maybe washing dishes. I said, I don't know. So I took one more day to walk around Charlottetown, and there's this kid there playing the violin, and I look, he's got all this money in there, right? So I run back to the to the house, get the bagpipes, open them up in the middle of Charlottetown, start playing. People throwing money in there. I'm taking pictures and all this kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, I'm like, $180. So I called my parents. I'm not coming home. I'm a busker now. Bus for the entire summer. Dude, when I went to go back to Newfoundland, I put all the coins in my bagpipe case, and I couldn't get it on my shoulder. It was like $2,800 in there. So I was like, okay, I'm hooked on entrepreneurship. That's it. Yeah, from now on. I've been doing it ever since.
Entrepreneurship is absolutely an amazing ride, and full of ups and downs. Today, I've got one of my big downs or whatever that I've got to fight through. But I think those first couple of moments of being able to do something like that, it was I've got a skill set that people are willing to, that people see value in. Yeah. Right? It's not always about the money side of it, but it's and for me, it's like if I make a sale,
money comes.
Yeah, I feel like if I make a sale, it's like I'm excited that somebody has exchanged the money for it. It's like I don't care what the amount is. It's just a simple fact that it's like I won.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the part to me. I'm like, oh yes, I did it.
To me, it's okay. So what's that winning? Oh man, imagine. And so people struggle with satisfaction in their jobs. Okay, or I'm in this dead end job and I hate it, or whatever the case may be. And I've been in jobs like that before. I used to be. It's not a dead end job. Look, all jobs have value, but it's hard sometimes if it's not what you want to do, right? And starting off, you have to do what you have to do. So I also sorted sardines in a fish processing plant. Okay, and it was hard work and it sucked, and it got me ready to working on the oil rigs. This when I was in high school, whatever it takes to make money. So you don't want to do that for the rest of your life. Okay, but
I can tell you this. Definitely not.
No, you come home with all the like sardine, caviar, basically in your hair. It was when I had hair. It was awful. Anyways, but it was a good story, and it was a good experience. All jobs have value, but however, having said that, what I'm doing now is different. Now it's like, okay, start with a blank piece of paper in May 2020, and say I'm going to build a ranging tool. How do you do that? And then 9 months later, you're in the hole and it's working, and then a year after that, you do a really complicated job that takes months and months and months to complete. And man, when this one job in particular in LA, I drove off that location and dude, there was a tear rolled down my eye. I'm serious. I'm honest. It was an amazing sense of satisfaction to be able to do that. Plug that well permanently with a device that 24 months prior was nothing, didn't exist. It was a blank piece of paper 24 months prior. So that is job satisfaction. And
that's awesome.
That kind of passion, I love it. I'm going to pour every ounce of my focus, attention, and passion into this technology going forward. You can take that to the bank. That's happening. Because it's not this thing, do find something you're passionate about and do it. It's, does anyone know they're going to be a magnetic ranging guy in grade 9? When you want to? No, of course not.
Probably
you don't,
not.
right? But
if there's one watching the show right now, thanks for tuning in.
It's a good career. But when you start doing it and you're like, oh, I can do things and that work. The very first day I was on the job with Sean, I held the tower. Okay, I can do it. I did it. And you get good at something. And then people acknowledge that, and you get some praise and it feeds into this ego cycle. And then you become passionate. It just didn't miraculously appear out of the ether, right?
Yeah.
So, you work your way towards this. I worked myself into being wholly focused, obsessed, passionate, of course, about this industry. And this, in particular, this magnetic ranging stuff. That is, and yes, money, you can make a lot of money, everyone loves that. But that's worth more than money. That's worth more than money. You can have all the money in the world, but it does not make your heart well up with a sense of accomplishment and pride and satisfaction. Yeah. And that's the difference.
I've told people before that I think it's just, one of those dinner conversations like, David, if you, won lottery or something like that, it's like, what would you do? And I'm like, I don't know, I'd probably keep doing the same stuff I'm doing now because I'm doing what I want to. And then I said, well, when you want to get out of your industry, or like, what if you had to get out of your industry and go do something new? And I was like, man, I have that sense or that feeling to like still pick up the phone and call the guys that I know. Yeah. Call, somebody like you, call Ken, call the guys at Rhyme, and just be like, hey man, how's business going? Like they're not a client anymore. They're not, but I still want to be like, I still want to know. It's like, oh, who moved to what company to what company? Somebody bought this company, bought that company.
And look, this is the best time for the industry.
Oh yeah.
Right now, this geothermal stuff coming in, carbon capture sequestration. You've got solution mining, all this weird ways that they're going to do this. We do work in conventional mines. All this skills, all you MWD hands out there and directional hands, we're not done with drilling holes in the earth for various reasons.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Yes, there is a transition afoot, no doubt, and rightfully, it's good. But all of our skills are just directly, mapping on to these new kind of sectors in the energy industry. I know it's frustrating at times to be able to get a match, okay, to be able to, get in on a geothermal project, but there's not a lot of those, but they will rise up, okay, as drilling for hydrocarbons falls away over time. and the skills will be transferable. So look, this is the most exciting time I've been in the industry right now. Not because of the high price of oil. No, because you can see clearly the public wants things to pivot. Okay, it's very clear, and I can be a part of that in a meaningful way, as can all of us in the industry, and helping with
and even the legacy of people that have been in the industry predominantly in the just the hydrocarbon space. It's like a lot of the technology that they built is going to be what makes geothermal drilling possible, and the fact that it doesn't take 28 days to drill an Eagle Ford well anymore. They're done in 3, 4, 5, or 6.
Exactly.
That technology jump and that understanding of how to be able to set up BHAs or design drill bits and all of that other stuff is going to directly impact.
Takes time.
I know Fred DeBriese had told me one time that when he was doing some stuff with a geothermal project, that he says, one of the biggest problems that they had was the fact that every time they tripped, they had to lay down singles all the way out of the hole and then pick up singles all the way back in. And it's like, well, if we just got a better rig out here, or if we got a derrick on the rig, it was like, you guys could save a lot of time. And it was just simple stuff like that. It's like, oh, why does geothermal cost so much? It's like, oh, because of like basic drilling practices that all of us take for granted, when drilling on, these triples, and just like, oh yeah, like you said, like, we could do round trip 10,000 feet or 20,000 feet or whatever in a couple hours. They were just like, it's taking them weeks to just do a simple trip.
Industry just hasn't optimized for geothermal yet. But they will. Well, it's competitive pressures there. It's happening. So
there's a lot of fat to cut.
Yeah, right. Look, SAG, when they started drilling SAG-D up in Canada, steam assisted gravity drainage, for anyone who doesn't know, drill these parallel wells and put some steam and suck out of the other one. That stuff used to take 30 days, right? It's just like an Eagle Ford story again, right? And now it's 3 days. It's a 10x, right? But it took 20 years, but it's 10x improvement. And like all challenges, with enough smart people and enough passion, like I said earlier, but mainly, all these resources that we have in industry, that challenge will succumb. It will succumb.
Yeah. You tend to get passionate about things that you're good at. And if you do something long enough and you keep working at it, you tend to get better and better and better and better at it until you get to that point where like, man, I really enjoy doing this, and this is what
I don't know if your audience can tell, but I genuinely like it. I love it.
All right. Wow, we've been going for an hour and 15. So I've been trying to make these shorter, you guys, but we did mess up there for a little.
Was it Jim? Well, I see Jim Toll. Let's see what Jim got to say. Another great guy. Jim worked with him at SDI briefly.
Well,
as Jim Toll, I think he's up higher. He's helped me out on a bunch of jobs. Let's see what Jim looked at a lot of wellbores.
Oh, I was like, where is that one at? That was previously. He said, distinguished by being a team player, my opinion.
Yeah. I think I know what he's referencing. So, one of Jim's observations, and I'll tell this to
he has another comment in here
to the audience, is that it's fine to generate ranging data, okay, but how do you action it? It's the whole rig, the directional drillers, everything like that. Jim, it's one of the reasons why I set up my organization the way that I did. You must have competency across, all activities on the rig. So, the drilling engineer on the team, got some directional drilling experience, this kind of stuff. It's not enough to just capture data. You must action the data. So when we're on these jobs, sometimes we control everything. We literally do every slide on the job. And it is required. You can't just introduce someone to this process and have them be successful the very first time. That's typically not how it works. So one of the things that Jim kind of put in my mind when I structured this is to have the right team so we can address all aspects of the job. Directional drilling, mud, cement, we need to understand how it all works.
It's very important.
Yeah, it transcends just ranging measurement.
Corey says he's late, but he also says passion is mandatory.
That's right.
Thanks for being here.
Beatings will improve. Or no, what is it? The beatings will continue until passion improves.
Jerry says, do you have private equity investors?
No. I own the company. Actually, my beautiful wife, who's sitting right across from us, she owns the company. and I have a partner.
She's like, no, don't turn the camera around. I can't touch anything because I'll just break it.
And I have a partner, and his name is Daniel Evie. Yeah, ex-well control guy, quite well known in the industry. No one owns the company besides me and Dan.
Yeah, that was part of our entrepreneurship talk the other day about just people just taking, getting all the raising money instead of doing the hard work in the beginning and just creating the product and getting cash forward through the door.
It's tempting to go and raise a bunch of money, but there's obviously challenges with that and then complexity in the business and all this. But the real thing is it's so nuanced. I understand exactly in my mind what I need to do. I'm not always right. I'm not saying that, but it's my money, and I decide how to action, the spend. So I say we're going to do this, and it's no design by committee. It's where there's various levels and reviews and all this stuff. We just huddle all our engineers in a room and figure out what we're going to do and do it right now.
Pummel them to death.
Yeah. I think that's an advantage that we have, and if you know exactly what needs to be done, you can do it fast. Then you can get tools in the hole in months, not years.
It's true.
Yeah.
Corey says bootstrapping is so much fun. Why not drag a cheese grater across one space every day?
Run that again. What was that?
He says bootstrapping is so much fun. Why not drag a cheese grater across one space every day?
Entrepreneurship is crazy. It's tough.
Yes.
Not for everyone. I got you.
D. John says, I fully agree with the changes in the future will make our skills necessary.
Yep.
Completely agree there. All right.
Hold the line, boys.
Yes.
Hold the line.
Definitely.
Yep.
All right. So
don't give up on this industry. It's just getting going here. I love it.
Well, industry's getting going. We're going to go ahead. I'm going to, unless anybody's got any final questions or anything like that, I'm going to say thanks for everybody tuning in. Do you prefer push-pull rotation at the gym or separate day from? Okay.
That's workout jokes now.
Yeah, exactly.
People taking the healthy body, healthy mind.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Next week, I'm going to have one of the guys from Well ID come on. If you haven't seen it this week, they did a post about one of their, I don't even know really how to say it. It's kind of like a caliper tool, like a 4D almost type.
Hey, I need to get in contact with those guys because imagine we're going to intersect the well, and now you want to take a look at that aperture, right? So you're not getting 8,000 feet, you're not running cameras, right? Because you won't get a clear shot. So, yeah, that's cool technology.
Yeah, so I reached out to those guys, asked them to be able to come on. So I've got that one lined up. The week after that, I still need to do a full confirmation. Then I think then we're getting into July. Graham Mintz of Wilmot coming back on the show. Then we've got Mark Freeman, Chief Operations Officer of Pro Directional. The week after that, I believe we've got a couple of guys, Austin Gruber and Isaac Fonseca, to be able to come on from Neighbors to be able to talk about high frequency downhole data, which is something I'm absolutely jazzed about. I love that topic. Miles,
through compression or just straight telemetry?
I haven't asked them about it if they were telemetry or if they were just doing record mode only.
Oh, I see.
But either
Interesting
way,
stuff.
Either way, high frequency, it's mechanical data. So it's
I see. High frequency. Yeah.
So you got downhole weight and bit, downhole torque.
Oh, yeah,
like
so
that.
high sample.
I've also confirmed with Mike Shulman whenever he gets back from vacation. So oily block stuff.
Oh yeah, he's cool.
He's going to come on the show. Yeah. I've got, who else was confirmed? Miles Wollerson, who is the CEO at Turbo Drill.
Ah, neat.
So I don't think he's ever done a show before.
You got all the guests, man.
Man, I've been chasing him down for a long time, and he's finally said yes. And then I've got plenty of other ones in the works. And so really appreciate. Thank you so much, Glenn, for coming on the show, man. I really do appreciate it. It was definitely worth the drive here into Houston.
Hey, look, next time come to LA, we'll do it. It'll be cool.
Oh.
Huh? That'd be nice. Do it.
We'll do it right in front of the Hollywood sign or something.
I love Texas. Best place ever. I identify as Texan, even though I'm Canadian. I love Texas. But, man, it's hot here right now. It's been humid. And in LA, wow, the temperature is so much nicer. Anyway, you got to come and do a podcast. We'll do it outdoors. It'll be great.
I don't mind walking outside and feeling like I'm walking into a blow dryer.
I would describe it more as living in a sauna, but it's a tomato, whatever.
I'm cool with it. Derek says, great presentation. Do I have to shave my head to be a part of the team? Says Daniel.
Join?
Yeah.
Oh, man, look, that's Danny. I got to mention Danny. You'll have time to do that or not?
Yeah.
Okay, look, so what do we do when we go do these relief wells or stuff like this? That could be, like I said, I went to Nigeria once. I was with Albert, and then you go and you show up with the tools, but it's not necessarily your drilling equipment and all that kind of stuff. So the ranging guys will just, bolt on to whoever directional drilling service providers, a Baker, Schlumberger, or Independent, or Halbert, it doesn't matter, whoever's there. So, I knew of all these wells in California that needed servicing. And speaking of the old Rolodex, and what I did was, I'm not going to go over there and start, wireline company and acquire gyros and be able to do directional drilling like this. One thing at a time here, right? So I called up my old buddy Danny. Danny was he was a Halliburton guy on the West Coast for years. Then he started his own company called Dodge Roll. And this dude Danny is like, how would I describe him? He is like the archetype. If you had like an encyclopedia of archetypes, you could open them up and like flip through it, and you could find honest, good, hardworking,